You think about areas where people historically haven't gone.
Right.
And that's kind of the new frontier, right? So you have to look at where are the best jurisdictions, where are the opportunities to get into, but it's always juniors that are out there blazing the trail. We have to think about that. Like, how do we get these projects move forward more quickly? How do we make more discoveries? How do we deliver more shareholder value by doing things quickly and effectively, not wasting money and not wasting time, and time's the most valuable thing.
Every generation has one resource that quietly shapes the future. Oil defined much of the 20th century, silicone built the digital economy. And today, there is a very strong argument that copper may become the defining resource of the next industrial era. But here's the interesting part. The conversation really isn't about copper anymore, is it? It's about power, who controls it, who builds it, who finds it first, and whether the mining industry itself is prepared for what comes next. Welcome back to the Markets and Leaders podcast. I'm your host, Lyndsay Malchuk. Today, I'm joined by Adrian O'Brien, VP of Business Development and Communications of Midnight Sun Mining. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Midnight Sun. They're advancing one of the most compelling exploration stories in Zambia's copper belt, which happens to be one of the world's most prolific copper-producing regions. However, today, I don't want to talk about drill results or commodity prices or anything like that because, let's be honest, we've heard it all, time and time again. I want to explore what copper really represents in a world where energy, AI, national security, and economic independence are really becoming increasingly intertwined. Welcome, Adrian. It's so great to have you here.
Yeah, it's great to be back, as always. We just saw each other.
We just saw each other in New York, and I'm going to throw this little fun fact in. You're a music buff.
I'm a major music buff.
So you stayed back in New York a little bit and tell us the high-level story of that find.
Okay, well, you said I can use this camera, right?
You totally can.
Record shopping. So I stayed behind a couple of days. I had meetings all the way through the week. So, typically we try and take advantage of every day we have on the road to, do business and meet with people. But I stayed through the weekend because New York's one of my favorite cities.
Of course it is.
Stuck around for the weekend and went to one of the biggest flea markets that exists. I don't feel like I should be sharing this because this is like
top secret.
This is where you find the best records. So if you're a record collector, this is it. So went to what they call the Grand Bazaar.
Okay.
And this is one of the ultimate flea markets. And I got the vinyl score of the century. So I've been looking, every time I go to a city, if I get any spare time, I try and find record stores and go and build the collection.
Okay.
Anyways, walked in and got an absolutely amazing bunch of records that were, some of my favorite bands, Sabbath and Zeppelin and all these great records that I'm always looking for, original presses, the whole nine yards.
Wow. But you're a Stones fan.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. And?
I might have grabbed a couple of good Stones records along the way, might have got a couple of good Zeppelin records. It was amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I really was, like I was saying, I really want one of those, those record machines with the big horn.
Yeah.
But you're saying they're a little bit more difficult. They're a specific kind of record.
Yeah, they're like that we're talking like phonograph level, like the old, not like the crank it kind of thing. You're talking like at least electrical.
Right.
But yeah, no, those aren't quite as ideal. I'm kind of more like the music geek that wants the big crazy system with giant speakers all that
like
audiophile
from the
stuff.
80s?
60s, 70s, 80s, you name it. It's all the best stuff. Totally.
Okay. We've completely digressed, but I really want to throw that in there.
We can dive deep. I'm sure copper plays a part in this some way. There's a lot of wiring in those old systems.
Okay, you got to bring one in and we'll just we'll bring a scientist in to dissect it and we'll be like, copper.
Totally. Well, think about this. I always say this to people and coming from somebody, and I have quite a background in music, so I spent a lot of years in the music industry, around the music industry. Just think about, if you want to tie copper to it, think about going to a concert, okay? Imagine when you go to a stadium show, and it doesn't matter if it's the Stones or Metallica or whatever music you're into. Think about the amount of wiring in front of you. Think about the cabling running across the floor of BC Place Stadium or any big stadium. When you go to a show, imagine the speakers, imagine the instruments on stage, and think of all of that without copper. Like, it is unbelievable, and that is an iota of the amount of copper used in things like data centers and stuff. But even still, just imagine all of that stuff without copper. I mean, it's all copper reliant.
Maybe a lot of people don't even realize that all has copper in it.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Okay, let's kick this off though with how critical, and we're going to continue that is, how critical that really is. Now, I wonder if people actually realize how critical copper really is. Is copper becoming less of a commodity, or is it becoming more like a geopolitical asset, you think?
I think it's absolutely both. Copper's certainly a commodity, obviously. And I think at the end of the day, you have to start thinking about where those big supplies are. And you have to start thinking about how people are going to get them.
Right.
So when you think about places like Zambia, you think about the copper belt, who's trying to get access and who controls it? Now think about critical metals. I mean, obviously China has a vast majority of critical minerals. That's presenting a real issue. So for the very first time, we're seeing U.S. government investment directly in exploration projects. That's copper. That's any critical mineral, any rare earth. That's a compelling thing. And as somebody that's spent 30 years in mining, never seen that before. This is an incredible change and a major shift to where the understanding now on behalf of not just the U.S. government, governments in general, is that they have to get involved. They have to be there. They have to be a part of that equation, both in the early stage, that early continuum of exploration, development, discovery, right through ownership, and make sure that they are getting any of those critical supplies that they need.
Yeah.
So I always use the explanation around the Libido corridor because, of course, that is a huge thing that's happening in Zambia. And that's the U.S. government spending $4 billion plus.
That's the U.S. government.
U.S. government to make sure they have access to critical minerals. And you hear Donald Trump, this is a couple of months ago, saying he's going to cut off AIDS funding in Zambia if they don't guarantee him access to critical minerals. Now, that's a pretty incredible thing that I didn't think I was going to see that anytime soon. And it's happening, and that's happening in real time. I speak at conferences all over the world, travel around and do a ton of that, and it gives me an opportunity to see what's happening boots on the ground. One of the most interesting ones to me was something called the Electric Metals Transition Summit.
Where was it?
It was in Washington, D.C.
Okay, yeah.
This is 2 or 3 years ago, and it was put on by the precious metals folks. So Misha put this together. And this was a conference specific to critical minerals. And this was right at the very beginning of this whole kind of new shift towards, transition metals, electric transition metals, and kind of that whole shift in terms of what people were thinking about. And you walk into that conference, and all of a sudden, folks from Department of War, folks from the White House are there. And you're kind of going, okay, it makes sense. We're in Washington, D.C.,
right.
So it's not totally surprising. But fast forward a couple of years, and you do something like the SME in New York. And all of those same folks are there. They're plugged in. They're on top of it. They're watching the projects. They're attending the presentations. Clearly, this is about access to those critical minerals.
Yeah, I think it goes far beyond just what's in the ground, too. It's really how to get it out of the ground and who can get it out. So I think each country really is becoming more diligent on how fast, how efficient, how safe, how sustainable, all the things. That's really coming into the limelight a lot more. I mean, here in Canada, we have our own, things going across each province. But Ontario, I mean, they quietly just passed, I think it was June 15th, Bill 5. And that really brings in expedition processes for permitting and for all the regulatory. And they have, a special critical mineral sector now where the government can actually choose which critical mineral regions within that province are more beneficial. And so, critics will say, well, that gives the government too much of an upper hand. And how are they deciphering between what is actually good and what isn't as important? So there's a lot of balance, but each country is going, we need to make some moves here. For sure.
And then think about the different funds that are out there. Another thing that we see on the investment side in terms of looking for funding for projects is that governments are setting up funds or backing funds specific to deploying government capital for each country into projects directly. So you don't just have groups like the Department of War out there looking at funding projects, and it's a massive amount of capital that the U.S. has set aside for investments in projects directly through the whole stage of the continuum.
My gosh.
But you actually have funds whose mandate it is to deploy capital into critical minerals projects. And we see that in France. We see that in a number of places. And that was another topic that I saw at a recent conference where they had representatives there talking about, how they're assessing projects. How do they figure out which ones are worth putting money into? Are they early stage? Are they, and that's the toughest thing is as an exploration company or as an earlier stage project, it's tougher to get access to that capital.
Right.
But you do see that some of them are setting certain parameters. So let's say you need to reach bankable feasibility first, or you need to reach whatever that measure may be. But they are looking to deploy capital, and serious capital.
Well, do you think that those great discoveries, they're behind us now, and that's why there's a lot of companies like, the majors that are looking now more so at the juniors going, we don't have the time, or we don't have all of the land or whatever anymore, because those great ones are gone that we can have access to. So do you think that those majors are now looking at the miners going, we want to buy in, or we want to take over, or we want to do all those things, because you guys already have the resources, the time, you've already done all the work. Do you think this is one of the reasons why?
I do. And I think that's a really interesting point, because what you're seeing now is you're seeing, I'll put it to you this way. When was the last time you saw an announcement that a major mining company made a grassroots discovery? No. They don't do it because they don't have an exploration division like they once did. And I remember my earliest years in this business, I remember majors making big discoveries. I remember stories about it. And certainly you do see it from time to time. And our Kevin that's involved with our project, Kevin Bonnell, of course, he made 2 major discoveries working for Barrick, but that was associated with a known deposit. When was the last time a major went out and made a completely grassroots discovery in a completely wide open, different jurisdiction they'd never been in? It doesn't happen very often. No. So, I think that they're definitely looking to the junior side. They're looking to help the junior side. Governments are looking to help the junior side in that early stage of discovery. But what I always like to say, and my favorite line for this, is that all the low-hanging fruit has been picked.
It is. You have to go deeper. You have to go wider.
Exactly.
You have to go outside the think of the box. Do you think that then changes how mining companies think about building their projects?
I don't know if it affects how they think about building their projects. I mean, I'm sure to some degree it does. I think it governs what jurisdictions they want to go into.
Okay.
I think it governs how they get into those jurisdictions. So if you think about the idea that, look at another area I'm kind of close to is Egypt. Look at Egypt as an example, okay? There's a place where there is absolutely no real history of exploration because it was always too difficult to go in there. And of course, a few companies went in. Centamin did. Centamin went in, discovered Sukari. So they make this massive discovery, becomes a 16 million ounce deposit. Endeavour makes a $2.5 billion offer in 2021. And then finally, AngloGold Ashanti buys their stake in it for $2.5 billion last year. And that was only 50% ownership.
Wow.
So you look at a place like that. Now, there's an untapped jurisdiction. Are there majors crawling all over it looking to make discoveries? No. There's AngloGold Ashanti. Who else is there? 1 or 2 juniors. Okay. So you think about jurisdictions like that, you think of the far north, you think about areas where people historically haven't gone.
Right.
And that's kind of the new frontier, right? So you have to look at where are the best jurisdictions, where are the opportunities to get into. But it's always juniors that are out there blazing the trail.
So do you think success then looks more like going forward? Do you think success looks more like partnerships in jurisdictions, or?
It could. Yeah. Depends on your outlook. Like I'm not a big fan of earn-ins. I'm not really very quiet about this. I say this all the time. I'm not a fan of earn-ins to projects simply because you're giving away too much upside too early.
Right. Yeah.
All depends on your model.
Okay.
Depends what you want to do. But as an explorer and as somebody out there doing this stuff, to me, the onus is on the juniors. This is our job. This is our end of the continuum. We're really great at making discoveries. That's what we've done for a long, long time. That's what most people in our business are great at. So we need to be out there. We need to be aggressive. We need to raise large amounts of capital. We need to deploy that capital in a way that we get our projects to fruition quickly. And I think the industry can look at it and take a little bit of the onus on ourselves. Like, how many companies are out there that run very small drill programs, pick away at projects for 4, 5, 6, 8 years, maybe longer? What does that do for us? Does that get the market excited? Generally, no. Does it develop, real value for shareholders? In a lot of cases, it doesn't. How can we turn the whole model on our head or on its head? How can we change it to make it more effective and to get projects to fruition more quickly? Wow. And our answer to that with Midnight Sun was to raise a lot more money than typically had been done in the past. Raise a lot more money, come up with a focused effort and a plan that allowed us to take our project from 0 to, call it, better than 50% in less than a year. Okay. And I think other companies do that as well. I've seen it. Our plan has been extremely aggressive, particularly aggressive in terms of the pace at which we've been keeping, the amount of drilling we've been doing, and what we've been doing. But I just think it's just one example. But we have to think about that. Like, how do we get these projects move forward more quickly? How do we make more discoveries? How do we deliver more shareholder value by doing things quickly and effectively, not wasting money and not wasting time? And time's the most valuable thing. And right now, with the race to critical minerals getting to market, we need those things advanced as quickly as humanly possible.
Absolutely. Now, I know that they're not in mining per se, but there is a company called New Power Corp.
Okay.
And their whole model basically is they vet the company, they get in, they invest, big in the beginning, and their whole thing is get out. Their whole thing is about letting go. So they get in, the first 2-3 years, and then that's it. But they also get a royalty on the kilowatts that come out of it for life. So that's a totally different model, and I wonder if explorers are going to start looking at that too. Is we're going to go in, we're going to hit it hard, and then there is a takeoff, or there's a takeover, whatever, but we get some of those royalties. Do you think that could be a possibility?
It could be. Historically, it gets difficult because if your model as a junior is to develop a project to sale, most majors don't want to buy you if you have a royalty, and they don't want those kind of things hanging in the balance, right? So you're kind of creating a hurdle to what your exit may be. If your plan's to build a project, then that's a totally different story. You can do whatever you want. But if your plan is to exit via M&A, then that becomes a hurdle. So you have to think about how do I advance this project as quickly as I need to or can in order to get it into a position where it becomes a viable asset for someone else to move to the finish line. And I always talk about, our very direct approach to talking about what we want for the end result for Midnight Sun. We talk about it as being an M&A target. And I think that partially is our putting the reality out there that we are an exploration discovery team. That's what we do. That's what we do really well. And we know that if you were to decide to move Dumbwa, for example, towards production, it means bringing in another team. That's never off the table. It's not impossible to do.
Right.
It's just a question of what you want to accomplish and having the right people in place to do it. And you just have to be cognizant of the fact that one team generally can't do everything. It's very, very rare that happens in our business.
Fair enough.
So, it's one side of it. But I think just to your point, more companies need to figure out how to do things more quickly to make it effective. And I think if you take a model like that, which is a really interesting model, I've never heard of that company, so I need to look that up.
Yeah. New Power, N-U.
New Power, okay.
Yeah.
It's so funny when you said New Power, it was like first thing I saw was a U with umlauts over it or something. Maybe I've just seen too many Motley Crue records in my time. It's entirely possible.
Or you're in marketing.
Let's be honest. Yeah, totally.
Okay, so how do you? I'm going to talk about this because you're pushing the idea or the thesis that we got to get it going faster. We got to get it going faster, and partnerships are a big thing. All those things are big things. How do you personally balance conviction with humility when you're leading a company that's so run by uncertainty?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. Look, the entire business of what we do is fraught with uncertainty and inherent risk, right? Like we're explorers. I mean, I almost hate to use this line because I always do, and it's probably getting a little played out at this point, but I always say that our business is Indiana Jones. Like we are over here doing the most Indiana Jones type thing you can do in business. I mean, we literally are out there looking for buried treasure by way of giant metal deposits.
So does that make you like a pirate?
Maybe not a pirate. We're not out there trying to take things, but
they're looking for gold or whatever treasure, right?
Totally. And I think that is definitely kind of the spirit of what we're out there doing is this swashbuckling kind of thing of going out and finding things and making discoveries. And we're explorers. Like it's in the name, right?
Like, did you play in the sandbox a lot when you were younger? Like, why did you go?
Definitely did.
I'm going to be a miner when I'm older. How'd you get into that?
No, I did not plan to be a miner. I was in the arts. I thought I was going to be, something in the artistic world. And I had this background in music. So we're back to music again.
Here we go.
I played in bands. I did music. Really? I did art. I drew. I did all this stuff. And yeah, I thought I'd end up in that world until I got a taste of mining. So my story, in a real super quick snapshot, is that I got a job working for a junior mining company when I was in high school. So I was 16, turning 16, maybe 16 years old.
Young.
I get a job for a junior mining company, and my job is to stand in this absolute desolate basement. It was not the most fun. Now, thank God for 99.3, the Fox, because the Fox rocks.
I forgot. For anyone in Vancouver knows that is a very legendary line from the
Fox owes me for that one.
Yeah, shameless public plug for the Fox. Are they still around?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That
They
goes
are.
to show you I don't listen to that.
So I have a lot of good friends that used to be on the air at the Fox, and some of those guys are doing great things now. Kept in touch with all those folks. I've been around all this music stuff for a long time.
Right.
So anyways, I'd sit in the basement, and my job was to build packages to send to brokers. And I quite literally had a giant table, and I would have like 20 different sheets. I'd have geophysical maps.
IR packages?
IR packages.
Oh, okay.
And I would have to build these IR packages to send to brokers. And keeping in mind, I didn't really understand that much about what I was doing. I'd been around it. I had family in the business, so I kind of understood a little bit about it. But by osmosis, you start really paying attention to what you're looking at. You're
100%.
reading the front page of news releases over and over and over as you bind these packages and put them in envelopes to send to brokers. And I started to become a little obsessed with it. I got really into it. I wanted to understand it. And I was working around geologists, so I started picking their brain, and I started taking a keen interest.
That conversation must have lasted from here to the moon and back when you're talking to geologists.
Okay, you want to hear the best? This is the best. Not only did it last to the moon and back, but one of the first geologists I ever got to work with, I worked on a project in the northern part of Quebec called the Raglan, which was a nickel copper PGM thing.
Okay.
And it was right after Voisey's Bay. So you've got Robert Friedland making this giant discovery, huge thing. Yeah, I mean, right? Like it was amazing. And it was so topical at the time. Mm-hmm. So I ended up working on the next major kind of nickel copper PGM belt. And one of the geologists we hired was a fellow named Burkhard Dressler, who I haven't seen in years, and I often wonder how he's doing. He was an amazing nickel copper PGM geologist, and he worked for NASA. His job was interplanetary nickel specialist for NASA. Now you talk about cool. Like I was blown away by working with him.
That's pretty cool. I mean, that one I would probably sit down and be like, let me pick your brain.
Oh, 100%. I just needed to borrow his business card for a little bit because it was the coolest thing.
Just a little bit. And how old were you then?
16 years old.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
16, 17, 18. So into my sort of early, like late teen, early 20s time frame. And I stayed with that company and that group of people for a long time and cut my teeth. And I ended up in this world. And as soon as I really got a taste of this business, that was it. I knew this is where I was going to stay. So the other stuff became a sideline, if you will. Okay. And this became it. So
I mean, well, copper has definitely stepped very much front and force, right in the front for sure. Oh, yeah. Critical minerals, of course, right in the front.
For sure.
What is one topic that you would really like to change about copper mining in the industry?
You know, there's a few different ways to look at this. I think there's a lot of stuff that gets thrown around in mining. You know, one of the things for me that I've had, and I'm consider myself an environmentally minded person. Okay, I care. And we live in the West Coast. We live in BC. This is a place where people are pretty keen on the environment. We take care of where we live. But I get really sick of people talking down mining. And you know, I think as a mining sector, we probably haven't done the best job in the world of projecting, what a cool business it is, but how much good we actually do.
Okay, so unpack that.
And how much business, So like, you look at let's look just at what the plan is around most mines in terms of reclamation, right? What people don't realize is the hoops we have to jump through as mining companies now. If you're actually going to take a project, not just to a discovery, if you're going to take it to the point of mining it, what those closure plans actually look like, what you're required, especially in a country like Canada. You know, I've worked on projects where we had some of the most aggressive closure plans I've just about ever seen. Things where you went from mining something to bringing it back to like a national park level wildlife in 7 years. Amazing plans, really impressive stuff. And I think as miners, we actually really care about that. And, you know, particularly the younger guard, the newer guard, if you will, that is coming into this business now is really, they do care. And I just think that from a public perception standpoint, I think it's so interesting when I sit down with people that don't understand mining and they're generally sitting with their smartphone in hand, typing things, chat GPTing things, and telling me all the horrible things about mining that they can find after they do their chat GPT search. And I'm like, let me make a quick point for you. And I love it. I love getting into those conversations. And it happens all the time, whether I'm sitting at sitting around a campfire with somebody hanging out and chatting, or if it's just, sitting at a restaurant chatting with friends. inevitably it comes up. And I actually love it. I welcome that conversation because
100%.
it's, as stewards for what we do, we have to be able to defend what we do and explain what we do. But look, the world needs metals. It is never going to change. It's certainly not going to change in any kind of future that I can see. The reliance is there. It's real. It's important. We're going to do it the right way. But mining unto itself is not a dirty word.
Right.
Mining is a good thing. And we need to open that up. We need to talk about that. That conversation needs to be way out in the forefront. And taking that a step further, people need to understand that the mining business in general is a really interesting, fascinating business with all kinds of great stories and a huge, huge, does huge even cover it, impact globally in terms of what it's doing for the world and what we accomplish with the metals we're discovering. I mean, it's incredible.
You know what's funny is that, okay, first of all, each province definitely has their own regulatory things. I know that Quebec, last year, I think it was, or 2 years ago, they, passed a massive, massive new bill where you had to have your remediation plans up front and center.
Yeah.
You need to be putting, XY number down for your remediation program, all the things, okay? Now, all those people that say mining is bad for the environment, mining is this, the people that maybe you even sat down with that have that ChatGPT, let me remind you that phone that you have in your hand started with mining.
Yeah.
That AI that you're using starts with mining. Like
Absolutely.
all the things that people don't realize, mining is at the very, very core center of all of it, of all the things that the world wants and needs right now to run the way we want it to.
Absolutely. Mining's at the heart of everything.
Right.
That thing of phones, right? My favorite fact to throw to people when we're sitting talking about their phones, because once we get into it, then I'm like, do you realize how much metal's in the thing you're holding?
Do you realize how much mining you just
100%.
supported?
100%. And like, do you know that the reason your phone works with your touchscreen is because there's 1/3 of a gram of gold in it? That always gets them because they're like, gold? Wait a minute, this is a phone. And I'm like, yeah, that's gold that does that. Then they hop in their Tesla and then, I'm like, wait a minute, copper.
Yeah, that battery that's running that Tesla of yours?
Totally.
Got to tell you where that came from.
Exactly.
All right, so you've actually survived the serious part of the conversation.
Wow.
Around here, we believe that we learn just as much in 60 seconds as we can in 20 minutes. So we're going to play a little game here.
Okay. All right.
Now, welcome to the Mineshaft. That's the name of the game.
Wow. Am I ready for this?
I don't know if you are.
I don't know.
I don't think the world is ready for my podcast games. I'm going to tell you that for free.
All right. Am I the testing ground? Does this have
Of course
other
not.
people?
You're like the millionth.
So people have survived this.
They have survived.
Okay.
I mean, they haven't come up from the underground hiding since, but they have survived. Yeah.
I just need to know what I'm in for. I want to make sure I'm ready.
Okay, so I'm going to throw a few questions at you.
Okay.
No analyzing, no pitch deck, no nothing. Just first thing that comes to your mind and a whole lot of wit. That's key, okay?
Okay. Wit.
So, you ready?
We're going to find out.
It's the first one. Okay, the name of the game is Mineshaft, okay? First one. What's one word the mining industry uses way too much? And I so can't wait to hear the answer to this.
What is one word?
Or one phrase that the mining industry uses way too much?
Infrastructure.
Infrastructure.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think that?
Because everybody claims to have infrastructure around them. Every single presentation I ever see talks about infrastructure. And a lot of companies can't really make that claim.
So true. I always hear, we believe we have a world-class asset here.
See, I was steering clear of that because as a mining company person, we're not allowed to say tier 1 or world-class. Oh my God, I just said them both.
Oh!
Now,
dun dun dun. Why not?
Because these are terms that are, they're considered really promotional,
okay.
right? So we steer clear of them in every circumstance.
Please stop using them, okay?
So here, I was avoiding it. You said it. Now I said it. You made me do it.
There is a bingo card out there.
There is, I'm sure.
You know what this bingo is called, right?
I'm waiting for you to tell me.
It's called bullshit bingo.
Bullshit bingo.
So you can actually Google it, and it comes up with all the different industries, and you can print out a card that's called bullshit bingo, and there's a really good one for mining.
Wow.
I know, I'm going to bring it next.
You need to bring it. I need to see this.
Okay. Number 2, if you weren't into mining, what do you honestly think you'd be doing? Music. But what would you be doing in the music?
Oh man. Okay, so actually not music.
What?
I love music. I play music. I love music, and anybody that knows me knows it's probably one of the biggest parts of my life.
Okay.
But the other big part of my life is photography.
Really?
which is kind of what I did in music. Yeah, I used to be a music photographer. So I would be doing, if I wasn't doing mining, I'd probably be doing photography.
So our camera operator there ranked top 30 in the world.
Top 30 in the world. Photography? Right on. What kind of photography?
Fashion.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah,
so that's a lot of what I used to shoot. I used to shoot for all the record labels. I used to shoot for all the record labels, big music magazines, and then the music instrument manufacturers. So I used to do a combination of tour stuff and then portrait work. So I used to shoot for musicians.
And you still got into mining.
I still got into mining,
You're
but
like
I did.
a rock star.
I kind of did both for a long time, which was really fun because I would keep them completely separate. And just in case you think I'm talking on camera, I'm actually talking to the guy above it.
Ali.
So this was this thing in my life where, you know, it was interesting. I was running companies, I was involved with companies, but I was also a music photographer, and I kept the two worlds completely separate.
Totally, I would.
And I didn't talk about it. I didn't, you know, I kept them completely separate because I had to button up my corporate suit and get in there and do my thing.
Yeah.
And then when I was out with bands, I would be, you know, out doing my thing with those guys, and it was a completely different world and two different things.
Wow.
And every so often, you know, maybe a broker or investor or somebody that I was dealing with would find my website, and all of a sudden they'd be like, so weird, you know, there's another Adrian in Vancouver that shoots
weird.
bands. I had no idea.
Weird.
Yeah, so that was kind of how I got into it. Then I might have run a guitar company for a while too.
Maybe
so it's
you
a
would
whole
have
other
done,
little
of course,
thing, but
of course.
it would be photography. if it wasn't
Photography.
this. Yeah,
All
for
right.
Sure. I still do it. I exhibit my stuff in galleries, so it's out there. But
We're gonna look this up for sure.
you can definitely look it up.
All right.
It's out there.
Okay, number 3. Which is more dangerous, drilling a wildcat target or making a 5-year copper price prediction?
Ooh, you know what? That's a tough one. Look, I would be, you know, I can't, there's no dancing around it. Making predictions around metal prices is pretty tough.
That's bold.
It's bold. And, you know, I mean, how many times have most of the big analysts and myself been wrong? It's really tough. Maybe not most of the analysts. There are really bright folks out there. But let's be honest. Like, I've seen so many predictions over the years that have been totally off track.
100%.
And made lots of them myself and not been right. But I can think of a lot of examples of drilling a wildcat hole
Yeah.
that changed companies overnight.
So you're going for the wildcat.
I'm going for the wildcat.
Wildcat for the win.
Wildcat for the win.
Okay, number
Always.
4. What's one hill you'll die on that most people in mining would disagree with?
A hill I would die on that most people in mining would disagree with.
So you'll be surprised if you survive this
You
game.
said I was going to survive this and it would be easy.
Listen, you're on your own, buddy.
What hill in mining would I die on that others die?
Something you believe in that most people are like, yeah, no, I disagree.
You know, and maybe it's not really that big of a hill to die on.
Okay.
I've certainly been vocal about this. Let's throw back to our conversation a few moments ago. If you really believe in your target,
Yeah.
raise a ton of money and spend it right away. Go do it. Go find out what's there.
Okay.
You know, if there's a hill that I would die on, and I've certainly thrown this into so many interviews this year, I really believe in fast tracking projects. So I don't think I'd get that much blowback from people in mining though. I think a lot of people are starting to agree with this.
Yeah.
I think if you talk to a lot of folks that were running companies 20 years ago, 30 years ago, they might have had a different outlook on it.
Yeah.
But look, let's go big or go home. If you're serious about a project and you have conviction,
Yeah.
put the money together, put it in the ground, and go and find out what's there. So I'll die on that hill. That's a
done.
hill worth dying.
That's a good one. One piece of advice you've been given that turned out to be completely wrong.
Wow. A piece of advice I've been given that turned out to be completely wrong. I won't list them
Okay.
because the list is too long, but companies have invested in that did not turn out to be what they were supposed to.
Yeah.
And I won't name names because I feel like that's not very fair.
Well, you don't
But-
really know either until you're well endowed
This
in it.
This is speculation. But boy, when I was young, was I ever given some wrong advice on investments? The reality is, what we do is the people that are investing in this business it's speculating, right?
hope.
Let's be honest, it's hope. But if it wasn't for those people that were hopeful and willing to put up capital to get these projects rolling, then these discoveries would never be made. So that is the crux of this Indiana Jones adventure we're on.
Oh my gosh. gosh, Indiana. Actually, I've never heard that.
Really?
Never heard that.
You just need to watch more of my interviews. I think people are getting sick of it now.
This is
I
true.
do throw this around a lot, but I really think that that's an accurate description of what we do.
I barely even watch my own interviews.
I have to be honest with you, I don't usually watch mine either. It's not.
Okay, number 6. If you could have one uninterrupted hour with any leader in history, who would it be and why?
Any leader in history? Oh man, that is an insanely tough question.
I know. You're not going to sleep at night knowing that I've asked these questions. You'd be like, I should have said this.
Any leader in history?
We can come back to that one.
Let's come back.
Okay.
That's a
Okay,
really
here's
that's
the
a
last
tough
one. You're going to just finish the sentence, and then we'll come back to the history one.
Yep.
Finish the sentence. The mining industry would be dramatically better if we just stopped. First thing that comes to your head.
If we just stopped, the mining industry would be a lot better if we just stopped wasting time.
Good one. Yeah.
Waste time.
It's
Get
even
to
in
it.
like the permitting section alone, it's like, no, that's their job. No, it's their job. No, it's their job.
Totally.
No, it's their job.
Totally. You can take that so many different directions. Get into the permitting timelines. Get into bureaucracy that holds things up.
Right?
Get into, look at Canada and how difficult it is here to move projects forward compared to when I started in the business, compared to now. Now I know people that are seasoned explorationists, really successful people that don't want to do business in Canada anymore because it takes too long to move projects to the finish line.
Yeah, I think that's why Bill 5
incredible.
in Ontario will be
Yeah.
good. And then Bill C5 out of Ottawa is on the national scale now, right? So that'll be interesting. I think Canada really needs to stop making their learning curve a circle,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to come back to the history one. Who's
Okay.
the leader?
JFK.
Why?
Think of the time period that he was leading things and what he accomplished in that time period. I mean, he's a fascinating individual.
Right?
I think it'd be totally fascinating. I mean, there's so many. Look, I'm going to go home tonight and I'm going to sit there and go like, oh, I should have said this one. Oh, I
Lyndsay,
should have
can
said
we
that
refilm?
one.
Can we
And
reshoot?
I love politics, and I have a very, very close friend that's had some incredible opportunities to interview political figures.
Wow.
One of which was Robert Mugabe.
No.
His name's John Roth, and John's phenomenal. He does videos in our business. He's a super talented guy.
Okay.
And he does lots of stuff. Lots of people in our business that know him very well.
Okay.
But he had an opportunity to interview Robert Mugabe, and he was invited to Zimbabwe to go do that. And I mean,
So
holy smokes! Not only did he do it, but he lived to tell the tale. Just the real few hours in a room with Mugabe. And, there's tons of interesting people that I would love to sit down and talk to, and different political figures, Canadian, American, you name it. Lots of interesting ones. But I don't know, JFK always seems like such a fascinating guy.
What if we go back to your music? Who would you choose that's like on the music side, first person?
Look, anybody that knows me knows I love Keith Richards, and I'd love to sit down and shoot the shit with Keith Richards for a couple hours. He'd be amazing. I was lucky enough to get to go to, I don't know if you even like the Stones, but Keith
I'm
Richards.
too young for the Stones.
You're never too young for the Stones. Nobody's too young for the Stones. My kids love the Stones. You
Okay.
have to. You can't be in my house and not love the
Okay.
Stones.
Fair enough.
So I got to go to the opening. It was the premiere of Keith Richards' documentary that came out a few years ago.
Right.
So he brought out a book called Life. This was his autobiography.
Yeah.
And then he had a film that came out, which is a fantastic music documentary. If you haven't seen it, you need to.
Yeah.
It's called Under the Influence.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I got to go to the premiere in Toronto. It took place during TIFF.
So cool.
And I got to go and see that. And then Keith was there doing a Q&A, and it was unbelievable. It was like, you want to talk about pirates? Keith is the embodiment of a pirate. He came out,
Whoa.
but he's way sharper and way funnier than you think he's going to be. Super witty and bright, and it was amazing. It was great.
I have a friend, Sean Lawless, and he actually is in, the photography documentary, and he works with all, the musicians and all
Right
that.
on.
And so he's been traveling around, I think around like America, I think. And they're filming the next documentary with all the legends.
Oh, no way.
All of them.
From music.
From music.
Oh, that's cool.
So wild. Like I can't
Yeah.
wait for that one to come out.
It's amazing stuff. And I've been really lucky. When I was doing music, I got to work with a lot of the musicians I grew up, wanting to be a musician because of, and getting to spend time with them and talk to them and pick their brain and stuff. So I had some really cool experiences, but there's so many people I'd love to talk to on that side.
100%.
And I'm very, I love people. I love autobiographies. I'm addicted to them. I listen to and read constantly. I always have audiobooks downloaded, so that's how I entertain myself on flights. And spend as much time in airplanes as I do or you do, and you
Yeah.
get it, right?
Okay, we've digressed. I'm going to
Okay.
pull this back. One final question for you. 20 years from now, when people look back at this period in mining,
Okay.
what do you hope they got wrong? What's the assumption everyone believes today that you think history might prove wasn't true?
What do I think let's just think about what we want them to look back and think of in this period. I think this is the period where the world realizes just how important metals really are.
100%.
This is it. Like, this is what's happening right now. This is what we were talking about. You've got the governments involved. You've got banking groups involved that maybe weren't funds interested in mining or didn't understand it. I think if there's one good thing electrification has done, it has spun everyone on their heads and made them pay attention to critical metals, critical minerals. And maybe this is where the world realizes what I was saying. And I wish they would realize that mining is not just important. I mean, it's lifeblood
critical.
of pretty much everything. It's critical. They call them critical minerals for a reason. So maybe this is the time period that people look back on it, and this is where the switch flipped.
Okay.
The narrative changed, people get it, and from here on in, they put the importance on metals that they should, and mining gets the acceptance it deserves.
100%. Couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for sitting with me. This has been
Thank
so
you.
fun. You
This is
survived the
very
game.
fun. I hope so. I mean, I know I'm going to go back home and kick myself over this presidential thing again, but you know what?
That's
It's
the
good.
hope.
That's the dream. That's why we're
You
here.
got to leave them worse than they started.
For sure.
Sorry, that's wrong. No. Yes?
So, you
Gotta
know
leave
what?
them better.
Better than they started, but we'll see.
We'll see. Okay. Well, thanks again, and do come back.
Thank you. Always.
Absolutely.
That was great.
Again, that was Adrian O'Brien, VP of Business Development and Communication. Now, here's some food for thought that I'll leave you with. We spend a lot of time asking whether the world has enough copper. Maybe the better question here is, does the world still have the patience to build the future it keeps demanding? Something to think about. Now for our disclaimer. Remember, these are the opinions of our own with possible vested interest in any or all of the companies we may have spoken about. This is not to be used as financial advice. Always be sure to speak with a licensed financial advisor and know your own risk tolerances. For a copy of our complete disclaimer, head over to apaton.com. Thank you for joining us on another awesome episode of the Markets and Leaders podcast. I'm your host, Lyndsay Malchuk, where we don't just follow the markets, we actually challenge the conversations that move them. Don't forget to subscribe right here on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify, and we'll see you next time.